Hey there, my name's Luke and welcome to the video. If you clicked on this, thank you, because it is going to be a long one. And we're ending off the year, 2025. And there's only so much I can remember about this year, but there's something about New Year's Eve that brings perspective. And I wanted to really look back, or at least look back on my life to this point and just kind of give you the rundown of what's going on. Now, actually, I would like to recap my life as I stand right now. I remember when I used to live in Orlando, I used to go around the neighborhood all the time with my buddies, and they weren't always around. I'm an only child, so I had to make do with whatever I had. And that means some of the friends that I had there weren't the best. I mean, even when I was little, they were troublemakers. One of them broke my parents' pool one time because he shoved a ball into the vacuum. And that sucks, because he screwed that up, and my parents chewed him out and chewed me out for even letting that happen. Made myself a little drinky. And anyways, so there was that, and also my friends weren't always around, so it was just me, an only child with nothing better to do. And in my childhood, my parents kept me away from technology for as long as possible, and it was probably the best thing that they could do for me. I used to lug around a big old cooler full of books. It was one of those free, coolers that they hand out at fairs, and this thing must have been 40 pounds. I mean, it was basically this many books that I was carrying around all the time. And it's because I've always been addicted and attached to things. I attach very easily. And, almost obsessive, And I used to read a lot more, and I'm trying to read a lot more now. But before I had a phone, what else are you going to do? You're going to read books. You're going to play with Legos. You're going to build Lego sets and then tear down those sets and make them into some new Legos. And then my first camera that I ever got, my first gift that I ever remember getting is from my grandpa. And my grandpa gave me a Nikon point-and-shoot 5-megapixel camera, and I still have it to this day. And it still takes good photos. Not as good as my phone camera, of course, but I used to do stop motion with my Legos and capture videos and take pictures for family and just of flowers and stuff. And honestly, some of those flowers hold up today on Instagram. I looked at some of them. I take great photos. And that's where my love of photography really had its genesis, its beginning. And for a while, I would always, my parents, they weren't super strict, but they were strict enough where it felt like a hindrance. I had to tell them every time I went outside with my buddies. If I went inside their house, I had to let them know where I was going to be. Without a phone, that meant I had to pause my day and go back inside and tell my parents, this is where I'm going. Can I go? Perfect. And there were some times where I remember with my buddy, we would go outside so early in the morning, and I'd have to wake my parents up at 5:30 or 6 a.m. When it turned light out, that I could go hang out with my buddy and play Nerf guns and hide and seek and ride around the neighborhood and climb trees and stuff and just do whatever. At one point, me and my buddy, we were making short films, horror films with Nerf guns and stuff, and that was really cool. And that was my childhood. Now, there's a couple times where my buddy wasn't there. So a lot of times during the week, I would have to improvise. I'd have to be on my own. And that meant that I would be pulling out my PS3 early in the morning and I'd be playing video games. My mom would get up, my dad's at work, my mom, she said, hey, time to get off the video games, go outside. So I did. I go on my scooter, I go around with my Nerf gun or whatever. I'm by myself, I knock on a couple doors. None of my buddies are available. None of the people I was hanging out with are available. Fair enough. So that's it. I'm just gonna, figure it out, whatever. So then I thought, okay, so now I'm going around. I've done the neighborhood a couple times on my scooter or my bike. I've rode around for a bit. Now I'm hot. It's Florida. It's summer. It's hot out. Let me go jump in the pool. So I jump in the pool for a bit. And I just remember the silence of the pool always made me so sad because I'm an only child. And none of my friends were available and I had no technology at the time. So who am I to hang out with? My mom's busy with schoolwork, my dad's at work, so it's just me. So I get out of the pool after an hour or two, swim around for a bit, play with some toys, get out, take a shower or whatever, change, and I start playing video games again. Or playing with Legos or reading or whatever. There's a point where I was reading at night, and I would actually be hiding it at night, where I was supposed to go to sleep, but I would stay up late and have a spy RGB. Well, it was not RGB at the time. It was just a red light, and the red light would shine on the book in a certain way, and it was just in this area where I was looking. So I had to finagle it and make sure that it was pointed at the book where I was reading, so that when I turned my head, I could read it in pure darkness with just this little red light. And I was doing that for a while, and a couple times my parents were like, hey, what are you doing? Go to bed. But for the most part, that was part of my childhood. But let's get back to, the rest of the day. And on those days, I would be reading or playing with Legos in my room or something, or toys. But then I'd go back to the PS3 and I'd play some Lego video games. Some Skylanders or whatever. Or Ratchet and Clank, the classics. And I'd play on my PS3 and that was fun, and then my dad would get home from work at 5 or 6. And then we'd have dinner, and I would either try to go back to playing video games, or I'd go in my room, I'd play with Legos, I would read, and that was my day. And then occasionally when I got to hang out with my friends, it was great. I'd try to spend the whole day out with them. We'd be playing with Nerf guns, we'd be riding around the neighborhood, playing hide and seek. I think me and my buddy, I may have had a Gatorade and a pickle, and that was about it. I didn't eat anything the whole day. No breakfast, no lunch, maybe dinner with my family. That was it. That's all I did. So, on the days that I was sick, and my parents told me I couldn't go outside because they didn't want to get anyone else sick, there was times where I would sit by the corner of the window and look outside and see my friends playing and be so lonely. And fast forward a little bit, there was a time, I always talk about this time in my life. There was a time, and I don't know how you are, but I didn't really develop any feelings for girls till 16 years old. So before that, it was just curiosity. And like the rest of the boys my age, it was, ew, girls, cooties. And I'd just run away from them, And don't get me wrong, I had a lot of friends that were girls, but there was this one, her name was Leilani. And we spent some time together as friends and everything, and her little brother was basically my friend, and we were hanging out together. And we played video games at her house and everything, but there was one time where she climbed like halfway over her fence after I was done hanging out at their house, and I was walking home, and she asked me, Luke, do you like me? And I go, And at the time when she said that, I knew I liked her, but I never said it. I never did. I refused to say it because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if that screwed up our friendship. I didn't know what to do. So I brushed it off, and it faded into nothingness. And over time, as we all grew up and we all went to different schools and, different grade levels at those schools, I grew apart from her and everyone else in that neighborhood, and eventually we moved. And at the time, I had a phone, I think, but I didn't really get a phone to use until like 7th grade, and we moved in 7th grade, so I didn't have that capacity. Now I'm moved to St. Cloud, and when I was in high school, I had a couple kind of close groups in middle school and high school. But in middle school, I didn't have the best of friends. I've never really had the best, closest friends in terms of quality, in terms of quality and friendship, in terms of being friends with good people. I've never been that way all the way. And again, until way later into high school, I never really felt anyone or anything for anyone, in terms of desire, that capacity for more, it just didn't make sense. Hormones, puberty, whatever you want to call it. I guess puberty happened at 16, and I'm 22 now, so it's been a bit. But in middle school, I started working. I had my freshman and my sophomore year, lots of brain rot memes flowing back and forth between friends, texting, having fun. But when I turned 16, I finally hit puberty and some things started to change. I took a girl out on a date that I thought liked me, that giggled at every one of my jokes, that I saw that look in her eyes and, I wanted to hang out with her. But no car, no license, and her parents were as strict as mine, so got my mom to drive us to the movies and do pottery after. But she was a senior, and I was a sophomore, or a junior. I think I was a sophomore and she was a junior at the time, where that kind of played out, now that I think about it more. And I had some feelings. I wanted to kiss her, but that didn't work out. That didn't happen. She went through some things, and I went through some things, and that was that. Next up, I had a girl who I spent a couple classes with, and then eventually we'd hang out at lunch together. And we'd, hang out with the band kids and everything like that. And eventually I got up the courage to text her to ask her to homecoming. Stupid decision, never do that. And then I took her to homecoming, and it was great. It was wonderful. I took her out for food first, and then my parents drove us to homecoming and drove us home, and it was a great, wonderful experience. But at the end of the night, all I wanted was a hug. I was not even thinking about a kiss. It was homecoming. It was our only date ever. And I had no car at the time, so it's not like we can go out on dates. So I just wanted a hug, just to say, hey, that was a nice night. I felt like a real date, We slow danced and everything. But nope. She went inside. I stood there at the door like an idiot for a couple seconds. And then she came back out and gave me a hug. And maybe she saw me outside the door. Maybe I got her flowers for homecoming too, but maybe she talked to her family for a second, or just checked in with them. Or maybe she saw me standing outside the door like an idiot. And I just got another text, which we're going to get into in a second. But now, what are we getting into? So then, after that, about a week later, I of course told some of my friends I took this beautiful, amazing girl that I definitely was crushing on, and I figured, you know what, I'm gonna I like this girl. I want to take her out and stuff. I don't have a car, but she doesn't have a car. We'll figure this out. But then she started getting closer to some guy, and I kind of knew him from one of my classes, and I thought that was weird. And from my understanding, it sounded like me showing off that I went to homecoming with her to him just made him decide that he was going to pursue that. And he started hanging out with her because they had a mutual class, and starting like holding hands with her on the way to the bus. And that absolutely devastated me. I mean, full on ghost. We walk by each other. She says, "Hi, you're like a brother to me. We should be friends. Let's hang out. Let's just be friends." And that devastated me. I just ghosted her. I couldn't keep talking. I couldn't be friends with her. And that was my first crush with all the feelings thrown in, with all the puberty and everything that comes with it. You know what I mean? And I wanted to kiss her really bad, but that burned away. Now I'm a junior. I've got my license, and it's time to get a job. I was doing dual enrollment at the time, high school and college courses, and I was just trying to... I needed money for my car, I needed money for gas, and I also needed the capacity for dual enrollment. Those textbooks can get quite expensive. And on top of that, my dad said that I needed some job experience, and I agreed. So I did part-time at Chick-fil-A, and I think it was part-time. It was 2 or 3 times a week where I'd go to Chick-fil-A and work the night shift until 10 p.m., 10:30-ish, and go home. And that started out. And then the dual enrollment started, where I was doing the high school and the college courses, and then beyond that, I started doing veterinary classes, my veterinary assisting certification. And I decided, well, why not get a career in veterinary? I'm getting a veterinary assisting certification. Maybe I should start looking into that. So I have my job at Chick-fil-A, and I start doing this volunteer work at Rising Star Stables, which was shoveling horse poop and washing them for a couple volunteer hours, which were required for my veterinary assisting certification. And I thought that wasn't my future, but I'll do it for the hours. And I kept looking, and I was looking for an internship that was a little bit more clean, a little bit more rewarding. So as I strayed away from high school and more college classes became a thing, I didn't have much of a college or a high school experience in high school anymore. I was a college student with a job, and that's what I was doing. So as I strayed farther and farther away from high school friends and, the possibility for relationships outside of work, it was just that. I was working, I was doing school, and that was it. And I was still having fun in my free time with my family, and, my parents used to have a boathouse and everything like that, so we used to go every other weekend and go out on the boat as a family and bring some family friends over too. And that was fun, a great part of my childhood. Taught me how to be a decision maker, how to be smart, how to have some skills on the boat in terms of driving it, in terms of, port side, starboard, everything like that. I learned a lot from that. Fishing, doing video photography with slow motion videos in the water and everything. So that opened up another part of photography for me. And watching a lot of movies and TV with my family. My love of classic movies. And then I decided I finally got an internship at West End Animal Care Clinic, a vet clinic where I was a veterinary assistant. Well, basically an intern at first. And then I had to get my hours. So 500 hours for my veterinary assisting certification. And, you know, I worked for free there. I was working at Rising Star Stables, and then inevitably I would cut it off after a couple weeks at the vet clinic because I just couldn't stand shoveling horse poop anymore. And I was doing the Chick-fil-A thing, and then on top of that, COVID started. And when COVID started, everything went online. High school, college classes, all of it. Everything's online. But Chick-fil-A stayed open. We had to wear a mask. And the vet clinic stayed open, and we had to wear a mask in front of patients. Otherwise, it was fine. So here I was at work during COVID when I was 16, 17 years old, getting hours for my veterinary assisting certification and doing all of these things, staying very busy. And once I started doing online college classes and online high school classes, you know, you don't have that personal connection anymore with people. And I started doing some, well, we'll get to that in a second. But one thing you should know about me is that I'm allergic to dogs and cats. So every day at the vet clinic, I would have to either take allergy medication and be tired, or not take it and be like sniffling all over the place really bad. I get hives on my neck from where a dog touches me on the neck, where I touch them, my undersides of my arms and my hands and everything. I get a bunch of rash and swollen and everything. So that's no fun. And I figured once I was in the veterinary for a bit, and I actually got a job there after I received my veterinary assisting certification, it was paying me $10 an hour. And it wasn't a lot. Chick-fil-A actually is paying me $10.25 an hour. But I knew that the vet clinic had more future opportunities, and Chick-fil-A didn't. So I cut out Chick-fil-A at some point. Oh, wait, before that, relationships at Chick-fil-A. I've grown a lot in maturity over the years, but I have been immature. And I guess we can get into that in another video. And I'm not perfect yet. I'm still 22. I'm not a man yet. I'm an adult boy, you know? But sorry, I just got this text and I don't know how to respond. So I'm glad I'm talking to you right now. I need another drink. But at Chick-fil-A, there was 2 relationships that happened. One of which was I had a crush on a girl. A real crush that I saw at high school, that I saw at Chick-fil-A, and I wanted to ask her out. Oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure she's engaged or married now, so that's great. But before that, I was really contemplating trying to figure out how to ask her out. And I was a big boy. I've always been a big boy. You know, big old belly right here. Never had abs, never had muscles, and I'm working to change that. We'll get back to that in a second. But, you know, I was always the snack boy when I was little on the boat. You know, always diving into some snacks. And, sorry. Been a little emotional today. But I was crushing on this girl, and I was clocked out one night, and I was thinking about asking this girl out, and I was trying to figure out, as soon as she clocked out, I was going to say something. And then this other girl that I was sitting next to that I didn't really have an interest in at the time, I figured, you know what, she asked me out. In a way, I don't know how specifically it was, but I know she asked me out. She asked for my number, and I figured, in my head, am I really going to ask out my crush? I'm probably going to pussy out anyways. Might as well do this thing, see how this relationship goes, and get myself some experience in it. And this girl already likes me, so might as well, right? And I just thought, you know what? it went for a couple months. And she basically trauma dumped on me on the first date. Told me all this stuff and said, yeah, most guys don't want to date me after they hear that. And I think, well, I'm not most guys. I'm not a douchebag or anything like that. I'm not a piece of garbage. I'll date you. And at the time, I didn't see it as manipulation. I just saw it as a girl who had a really bad past and maybe wanted a brighter future. And I don't know what that did to me. But I think I was like, you know what? I'll give this a shot. And for 3 months, it was great. It was a very slow rising relationship I had fun with. And the only problem was that I pushed too far too fast. All these puberty hormones firing and everything like that. I kissed her. That was my first kiss. But I wanted more, as any 16, 17-year-old boy would. And she wanted to take things even slower. And I had to come to terms with that. And I respected that decision. And then I started thinking, okay, so I'm not here for that yet. So what am I here for? And I realized she had no ambitions, no future lined up, no thoughts for the future. I wasn't completely attracted to her sexually, in terms of, physical body and everything. So there was a lot of red flags there, and I wasn't comfortable with them. And I just was thinking, why am I with this person beyond that whole chemistry thing? What's really going on? And I realized, well, maybe I need to take a break to really think about this. So I didn't text her for 2 or 3 days. And after those 2 or 3 days were up, I texted her again, and she did the same thing to me. And we realized that this wasn't working as a relationship, and I don't think there was a good future there in place. So she broke it off, but I feel like it was mutual, but everyone made sure to ask me, oh, who broke off who? Yeah, it was her, but I felt like it was mutual, but no one hears that. They hear, she broke up with you. Okay. Second relationship was almost immediately after, when a certain girl at Chick-fil-A heard that I didn't have anything going on, and nothing happened there. And she must have had an imaginary list of things that she wanted to accomplish in life, if you know what I mean, and taking a card was on her list. And at the time, with those hormones firing at 16 and 17, okay, use me. Be like that. I'm happy with that. And I knew that this girl was not the future. I knew that this girl was not going to be a thing, someone I could trust. But I did it anyways, because why not? I was 16 or 17, who cares? But during that time, when I was an intern at the vet clinic / vet assistant, there was some new interns there, and I went out with that girl, that I couldn't trust in the future, and basically, I didn't like her in that way. I definitely had fun, but I didn't have as much fun as I thought I did, or as much as I thought I would. So another girl approached me. I shook her hand. I said, "Hi, my name's Luke. What's your name?" "Oh, whatever." "Okay, cool. That's great." And she was like, "No one shook my hand yet." And I'm like, "Really?" So me shaking her hand opened something up. I don't know. But there was some chemistry there, some fire burning. And there was a lot of tension between us there. And I started texting her and this other girl at the same time. Now, after that first date with Miss Untrustworthy, I didn't go out with her after that. It was a time frame thing. I went on vacation and everything, and like, everything seemed good, but I just wasn't feeling it again, if you know what I mean. Kind of thing that'll switch sides on someone, make a dude switch sides or something. It was bad. It was really bad. But this other girl, I had no intentions of anything at the time, but I started texting her and I started developing feelings. And I realized that I didn't want to be with this other girl anymore, and I told her. I said, I don't really want to be with you anymore. There's this other girl that I met, and I wouldn't want to do that to you. I wouldn't want to, like, cheat on you on the sly. So I told her straight up, and I figured out that you're not supposed to tell a girl or anyone that you like someone better than they, and that's why you're breaking up with them. You shouldn't say that. It should be silent. So I learned my lesson there. Now, with that, I went on to be with this other girl, but I never got to go out with her. We only hung out outside of work after I clocked out, or she was on lunch, or whatever, and then we texted, maybe called a couple times. But then I found out that she had a boyfriend, and she didn't want to break off Mr. Long Distance. She wanted to stay with him. And I'm not that kind of guy, so I was like, okay, that's done. But then she still wanted to hang out with me. Well, text me and call me. She wanted my attention, but nothing more. And it really devastated me. It really did, because I just broke up with this other girl to be with her. And she's like, no, I'm going to stick with my long-term relationship over here. You don't mean anything to me. Even with all of that chemistry and hormones hitting me in my heart and my head all over the place. I mean, no one made me feel like that before. There was so much there. Almost potential, kinetic energy that was, on the crest. And I held on to that for almost a year and a half to maybe 2 years before I finally did the smart thing and blocked her. Because every time I tried to hang out with her, she said, oh yeah, I can't really, it's a far drive for me, I can't do that. I'll drive that far, no problem. Oh yeah, I'm busy, whatever. She kept brushing me off. She wanted my attention on text and call, but when it came time to it, she didn't want it. So there's that. And really, I just realized this is all about relationships at this point, and I've got a couple other things here to talk about. So then, after that, I went through a very long time period of nothing happening. Had some drama at work because I think this girl must have been jealous of me with my little chemistry going on over here, and she started up some stuff and I had to dismiss it. And that's one thing I learned about in maturity, is that you need to do better and you need to keep your stuff private, I didn't learn that well, but irregardless. Now, fast forward, I realized at the vet clinic that that's not my future. And I'm going to college and I wanted to pursue something else. And I thought about, well, what if I'm a pharmacist? What if I'm a veterinarian? Well, veterinarians, they don't make much money unless they have their own practice, which means business owner and you're the vet. And doctor school and studying and everything like that is not my cup of tea. So I said, that can't happen. And then I thought, well, what about a pharmacist? They make a lot of money. And I'm pulling up by charts on Google and I say, who makes the most money per year? And I look at the top and I go, pharmacy, anesthesiologist, no, clinical, I can't study that much. I'm not that good at that. Certifications, everything like that. Okay, next. Health Services Administration degree. $118,000 a year. That sounds good. I like that. So there I was. I went for UCF, and I started Valencia at the time. I started doing some prerequisite classes for my Health Services Administration degree. And then from there, when I went to UCF, I had to break all ties. And that meant that I had to cut my job at the vet clinic because my UCF classes, the first week, was basically Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I would have to be on campus at 1 p.m., which means that there is no capacity for me to do or have a job that first bit. So I cut everything out, and it was just me going to school for those days, and then the rest of my classes were online against my will. And I was doing that for a bit, and that was going smoothly enough. But I went through a phase where I was watching Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, all that garbage. And when you're alone in your room doing college classes, maybe 10 hours of work a week, and other than that, you have no physical or emotional connection with anyone for 6 months, you start to get a little depressed, anxious, angry, upset, and you try to find some meaning in life. And at the time, I was still going to church with my family, everything like that, but I needed more. What's something beyond religion that I can feel in my heart that is, not just based in belief in God or anything? I mean, what goes beyond that? And I think, I started looking at, dating stuff. I really wanted to date someone, but I really didn't have an outlet there. I had some girls I was crushing on in my classes, but inevitably, I didn't have the capacity to do so. I think I asked out 1 or 2 of them. Didn't work out. Got rejected hard. And that was it. And those 6 months changed who I was. I became emotionally numb, damaged, walls up, impenetrable, just completely zonked out of my mind. And I think that isolation changed my brain structure to a degree where I became cynical, pessimistic, and angry. And after fighting with my parents and them telling me you should get a scholarship, are you doing well enough in your classes? Why are you getting C's? You have all this time in the world. You waste so much time at home. Get a hobby. All you're doing is just going on your computer every day watching TV or watching YouTube. You're just being stupid. Why don't you do something? And it kept making me angrier and angrier that I was mad at myself. I was mad at my parents. I was mad that I had no real connections in life. And finally, after enough pushing, I finally tried to get some jobs at a hospital. Okay, that didn't work. Well, I need some clinical experience or whatever. Let me take this veterinary degree and put it to use while I'm trying to get my Health Services Administration degree. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to keep working on this. And I tried my deal in the hospitals, but I was too young. I was 18 with a high school degree and no bachelor's or no nothing. I barely had any job experience, and it showed on my resume. I had a baby face, no one cared. So I moved on to veterinary, but I wasn't good enough. I didn't have enough of the clinical knowledge. I had process knowledge from what I learned at the vet clinic. When it came time to practical knowledge that you can apply to any facility that you worked at, I had none. So now I'm thinking, okay, I tried hospitals, I tried veterinary, I'll try the next best thing. I'll just try to get something for hourly. And I was partially putting myself through school, and I was running dry on savings. I needed to make money so I can put myself through college. And I ended up getting a prep cook position over at Chroma in Lake Nona. And that's when I got $16 an hour, and inevitably that prep cook position became dishwasher. I didn't put up a fight because I had nothing better to find. I went through a lot of interviews just to get that job. So while I had my irritations and everything, I didn't say anything. I needed the money and I needed the hours, and I worked hard there. I was supposed to be 3 dishwashers, and I felt like I was working by myself all the time. I was working 2 to 10, and then, after 10 closing, we'd be there till 2 or 12, and then on weekends, Friday, Saturday, it would be you're there till from 4 to 10, but then you end up staying as a dishwasher until 2 after everyone's left for the night. So I always got my 8 hours, and a lot of times I would get like 60, 65 hours a week in OT, like total, and everything like that. So I definitely got my money there, and I had some good paychecks. I was putting myself through college, and I was doing my classes online, and I at least had an outlet at the time. But I wasn't 21 yet. I couldn't go out drinking with these people that are way older than me. I couldn't do anything with them. So I got their Instas, I got some of their phone numbers, but inevitably the things that they were doing I couldn't do yet. And I still had a curfew at home, be home after work. I couldn't exactly hang out after work. And went through some crushes there, tried to do a couple things, completely failed. Completely got crash and burned. But then finally, at the end of my degree, I'm at my graduation ceremony. And I am there, and I'm on my phone, and I realize that my Instagram reels are absolutely abhorrent. Super brain rotted, super I don't want anyone else to see what I'm watching kind of thing. I've gone through some phases, and I'm not proud of them. And I didn't have my earbuds on me. I thought that'd be disrespectful at a ceremony. So I'm sitting there, and at the time, after this period of 6 months before I had this job, I was emotionally numb, I was just doing work and school that whole time, really. And I kind of lost a lot of joy for life. And I feel like that's carried on up until even now. Depressed even. Anxious, not really caring about the future, not happy. Make a couple jokes, but at the end of the day, I felt lonely. I didn't have good quality friends. I feel like I still don't now. And my family's been my family always, but that's it. It's your family. You're born with your family. Your family has to love you, and you have to love your family. I wanted more. I wanted more than that. I want more than that. I want someone that chooses me as a friend, as a boyfriend, whatever. I want someone to choose me, for it to matter. And when I was at my graduation ceremony for college, at my bachelor's, I was just trying to doodle in a yearbook that we got. It was like a book of basically of what was going on, the process of who's coming up next. And I was flipping through it, and at the back there were 2 empty pages, and I started drawing and doodling and everything. I'm not much of a drawer, but I was just having fun, and I'm bored during the ceremony, so who cares? And they're calling people's names and everything. It's not my row yet, and I'm sitting there for an hour or so, or longer. And I start drawing tic-tac-toe by myself, and I play tic-tac-toe, and, I tied myself, and I pull up another one, and then the girl on my left, she points to the page, and she's like wanting to play with me, and I'm like, whoa. Now, at the time, I was 90% just trying to not be bored with myself, But also, at the same time, another 10% wanted me to see if someone was near me that would be slightly interested in what I was drawing. And I got what I was looking for. I think subliminally, in the subconscious of my mind, that's what I was hoping for. So I started doing tic-tac-toe with the girl next to me. We started texting or talking first. We're talking, we're whispering, we're trying not to talk over anyone and be mean to anyone. And we start doing, after tic-tac-toe ran its course, we start doing hangman, and I'm doing favorite color, whatever, favorite food, whatever, just funny stuff, movie names, stuff like that. And finally, she draws one, and it's 7 digits, and it's numbers. And at the time, it had been so long since I went out with a girl. I think it was like 2 years. And I look down and I go, I don't get it. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, it's my number. And I'm like, oh, okay. What am I supposed to do with it? And she's like, call me, whatever, so we can hang out. And I'm like, huh? I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I'm out of my mind. My heart's racing and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I start texting her and getting more information. And that day I started texting her more, and she's like, oh, I'm hanging out with my family right now. And I'm like, oh, I didn't mean like hang out today. I meant like in the future, whatever. And I was working some late nights at the time. And actually, let me think. Right after at the end of my degree, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so before graduation, I got my job at Orlando Health, and I was doing overnight ER shifts, 12 hours, and that's when I went to graduation, because for that I needed my internship at I had to have an internship where I had a certain amount of hours, like volunteer hours. So I leveraged my job working overnight ER at the hospital to be able to do an internship. So I drove, actually, let me break down the schedule. I would work Wednesday, Thursday, let's see. Yeah, okay, so Wednesday, Thursday, oh, hang on. I'm trying to think this through. Was it 1 day a week? No, it was 2. Okay, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's right. Okay, so 4 days. On Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was working 12-hour shifts overnight till 7 in the morning. 7p, 7a. Then after that, I would have Monday to recover. And then Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I would go to this hospital that's an hour and a half away to do an internship and patient experience. Didn't have a lot of time on my hands, so maybe some Mondays, maybe some Wednesdays, kind of. Very small amounts of time in between there. But then finally, I was actually doing the gym at that time as well. So I was going to the gym on top of all of this. So I had a lot of stuff going on. But then once my internship ended and I went to my graduation ceremony, I met up with this girl for a first date and found out that she smoked weed. And weed makes you feel like, whatever, I'm chill, not really planning for the future. She was a teacher, a babysitter, whatever. She was just doing whatever. And I liked her. I really did. But at the end of the day, when I expressed my feelings to her, she didn't care. She didn't care. She felt like we were just going to be casual, having fun, and that was it. And even then, when we were having fun, she wasn't really with it all the way. I wasn't doing good enough of a job, didn't have much experience in it. So, it was, we're friends that hang out together, but then when it comes time to that, it's not, yes, I want to do that. It was, if I'm in the mood, I'll maybe think about it. But I didn't just want that. I don't want someone that just kind of maybe hangs out with me sometimes and occasionally, hangs out with me as a friend, you know, when they feel like it, but otherwise we're just friends and not just friends with some other stuff. And I didn't even want that. I wanted a relationship. I want a relationship. And then beyond that, after that broke off, and after a lot of sleepless nights where I was working overnight, I would hang out with this girl, I would be on like no sleep whatsoever. We're talking about 36-hour days without any sleep whatsoever. I became an absolute animal. And I was doing overnight for a while, and finally I switched over to days, and that's when I turned 21 and I started going out to the club a little bit, having some fun with the guys, going out and partying. I tried to ask out a couple girls, some things worked out, some things didn't, but inevitably, whatever, had some fun, that's all I can say. And this other girl that came into my life from a long time past is someone that she basically started out saying she wanted a casual relationship, and not even that, just like having fun, whatever, and slowly let it build. And I wasn't really with that. She had a lot of problems going on, a lot of red flags, and quite frankly, with her back and forth, I couldn't commit to that. I couldn't commit to that in the future. She had a lot of mental problems going on, and don't get me wrong, I can deal with a lot, but what she needed was a therapist, not a boyfriend. She needed to get a lot of things worked out on her own before coming to me. So inevitably, I would joke with her as a friend, and yeah, we kissed a little bit and whatever, but I would talk to her about other girls, and one day, it finally clicked in her head, and she was like, "What do you mean?" And it was around Christmas time, and she wasn't happy with that, and I made her cry, and I felt nothing. Don't get me wrong, I felt terrible for making her cry, but I felt nothing towards her, and I felt really bad about it, but I also wanted to give her space, because I was under the impression that she was casual, I was casual, this was only going to be this, and that was it. And she would have all these things, like putting on the brakes in all these types of ways, whether it was physically or emotionally or mentally. It was just like, yeah, that's a boundary there, we don't need to cross that yet. So I figured, yeah, we're just friends that have a little fun, not a big deal. But that was last Christmas. And ever since then, it's been a while. I've had some crushes. I've asked out a couple people. I've tried to talk to and text to a couple people, but inevitably, it didn't work out. But then fast forward to today. And let me take a pause, because your boy got to use the bathroom. Alright, I'm back. Now, I have to check the time. Hang on. Okay, we're good. So, what I was saying is that what is going on today? Well, today I'll try to go over the basics with you. There's a girl that noticed me, and we have mutual friends from when I was working night shift, and she works night shift, and I'm day shift now. I've gone to the gym a couple times. My hobbies consist currently of taking photography, hanging out with my family. I was going out to the club with my friends, but I've definitely slowed down because the music's all the same, and that's all I was going there for. I wasn't really there to meet any girls, but I figured, why not get some exposure, But I've slowed down and basically come to a stop at this point of partying. And I love EDM music, I love classic rock movies, or classic rock songs, and movies, and TV shows, and playing video games. I'm trying to start reading again. I'm trying to get back in shape, cleaning up my diet, focusing on my future, trying to get a promotion, which failed today, so that's great. And I'm thinking, okay, this girl, actually, it started out like this. I have her friend, which I kind of know in passing as a night shift person that I worked with a couple times, I think. And then I have my day shift friend where they're closer. So we've got 3 layers down. And this girl that is definitely out of my age range, but I felt like, we were hanging out a little bit at work, it felt kind of interesting there. But it was just like friends, nothing crazy, nothing there. But she said, "Oh, Luke, I have to ask you something. Are you single?" And going through my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's been a year. Why do you ask? And in my head, I'm going, is this girl asking me out? She's out of my age range. This can't work. I'm really thinking about it. I'm like, no, this, man, it could be fun, but inevitably, she's not my age range. It wouldn't work. And then she goes, oh, yeah, well, Tiara was telling me that there's some girl that has a crush on you. She likes you. So I'll let her know. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm jumping for joy. I'm like, there's a girl that has a crush on me, and I don't know who she is. Oh my god, that's crazy. Now my buddy, overnight shift, texted me, dropped the Insta to me, showed me the pics, and had a little bit more information. So now I am getting a thing back, and they're like, okay, cool. This is her Insta. You can talk to her now. So I got the confirmation, and I got the Insta, and I started talking to her. And then they're texting me going, why didn't you ask for her number yet? I've never seen this girl yet. She's seen me in passing, but I zone out everyone at work, And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, yeah, I'll hang out with this person, whatever, I'll give it a try. I'll take her out on a date. So I get the number, I find out more about her. She likes reading books. I used to read books. I'll read more books in the future, I guess. Might as well jumpstart a hobby again. And she plays some video games. Cool, me too. Okay. What else? Oh, yeah, movies, TV, cool. Taste in music, a lot of pop songs, but a lot of, romantic songs. Okay. So she seems like a romantic. She went through a really bad breakup with a guy that cheated on her a while back, and it's been a year, and she's, looking for something. And I go, okay, cool. It's been a year for me. I'm romantic-ish. Yeah, I could go for that. So I take her out on a date, and everything goes well, and we watch an episode of anime together or two. We walk around a couple parks and trails, and I took her out to eat and everything, and I thought that was really cool. But at the end of the night, she's over here doing this, all crossed, as I'm driving her back to her car, and I realized this girl is so closed up around me, there's no way she wants to kiss me or anything. In the back of my mind, I think, yeah, at the end of the first date, if it goes well, you can kiss her, and you should kiss her. But no. I'll wait. I've never had a relationship build slowly before, and she seems like a romantic, and I think I'm starting to feel like a romantic. So maybe I should take things slow. Maybe see where this goes, Try to give it the benefit of the doubt. And don't get me wrong, there's a couple red flags that I saw that I was immediately a little thrown off by. And I'm doing the pros and cons list in my head, and I'm thinking I should give her a chance. So I do a second date, and we go to ICE, which is basically at Gaylord Palms in Orlando-ish. And it's actually in Kissimmee, I think, give or take. But I pick her up from a meeting point that we met at. She says her tires are flat. I'm like, oh no. I got a tire inflator from Walmart so I can fill up our tires when we get back from our date. And at first, she talked about how she was craving Olive Garden. So I took her out to Olive Garden, and then we went to ICE, and we walked around the hotel, which had a nice nature garden. And it's Christmas time, it's festive. We got to see Rudolph and ice sculptures and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm doing some hand touches, a hold on the back. I'm offering her a blanket. We're watching a movie in my car before we go into ice. And after, we're playing romantic songs back and forth between each other, trying to throw subliminals out at each other, I guess. And then there's a point in the date where I go, I want to kiss her now. Not I should kiss her. I think I want to kiss her. And there's a couple points, but we are so preoccupied with walking these trails and seeing these little koi fish everywhere, and I'm taking pictures of everything. I'm loving it. And I'm like, this is the moment. And I missed it. And I felt stupid. And she's over here, we're holding hands. We're like side hugging kind of thing. I'm directing her in a way where I've got her like arm under me and everything like that, and it's building so slowly, the tension. And I finally we come back to her car, and I'm karaokeing some songs, having a blast, and I think she is too. But she's shy and reserved, and I understand that. I'm shy and reserved sometimes too. So I tried to manage my expectations, and I'm filling up her tires, and I give her some of these looks where I'm like, this is it. You need to kiss her, man. But I end up, I'm not doing it. I give her a hug, good night. I make one final attempt, and I'm looking at her in the eyes, and she's her usual reserved self, and I don't know what to make of that. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. Maybe next time. Maybe this is okay to build slowly. Because keep in mind, it's not like we were friends before this, or I knew her in passing. We just met. This is our second time ever meeting with each other. So I was like, you know what? Fair enough. Maybe next time. And I'm thinking to myself all the way home, I should have kissed her. I should have done something more. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. And I'm developing some feelings here. Now it's date number 3. And we decide that I'll meet at her house and she'll drive. And, I had to get off of work. I quick changed. I had to drive my dad home because we were about to go on Christmas break, and I was about to go see my grandparents for a week. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be running a little bit later now. I hope that's okay. And she's on night shift, so she's like, no, it's okay. I'm going to take a nap real quick, but I'll see you later. And I text her. I said, okay, I'm ready to come over now. I know it's going to be at like 5:30. I know it's getting a little bit darker out. Maybe we can't walk the trail and go out for ice cream at this point. Maybe we got to think about something else. And she's like, no, that's cool. I want to go to Target. And, would you want to go to Target with me? And I'm like, Target? That's like a couple's like little dream there. That's like perfect. Oh my gosh, go Target run and go shop for her family and go to Target together and pick out gifts together. Oh my god, that's such a cute date. I love that. So she's driving and playing some of her favorite songs, and I'm looking at the sunset, and she's driving, and I'm getting a sense of who she is, and I like it. I like her. And in Target, she's, stressing out over these gifts, and I console her. I give her a side hug. I give her a full-on hug. She's coming up from behind me and resting her head on my shoulder and hugging me from behind. And we're holding hands on and off, and I'm telling her sweeter and sweeter words. And then after, we get some Raisin Canes. We get ice cream first, and we get Jeremiah's ice cream, which is basically Italian ice with mango, Italian ice, and vanilla ice cream, and it's amazing. And I pick out the flavor for her. I said, this is the best one, and we're trying it together, and she's like, yeah, this is really good. And after that, she's like, yeah, I'm hungry now. I'm freezing. She's talking about how she's not freezing because she runs hot, and I'm like, oh, really? And so she's like, yeah, let's get some food now. So we go over to Raisin Canes, and we grab a little box of food, and we're eating in her car, and I'm being as clean as possible. And we get back to her house, and I think, okay, now. I'm at her house right now. I have to go soon. Am I gonna kiss her? Yes, I want to. Before I leave, I want to kiss this girl. I have to kiss this girl. And I think, okay, cool. Now we're walking around the house. I'm meeting her dog. He's a little jumpy. And, you know, we walk her dog. We're seeing the night sky. And, you know, finally she's showing me around her house. She shows me to her room, and I'm like, oh, really? And, you know, and then she's showing me her book collection, and we start playing Spider-Man 2. And I'm like, alright, sweet. We're playing Spider-Man 2. And I'm like, okay, I'm staying here longer than I anticipated. And she's not, like, kicking me out or saying, have a good night, or hugging me good night. You know, this is my moment. I gotta make my moment. Maybe she wants this moment too. So I'm waiting for her to have a pausing point in Spider-Man 2, the video game. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it next time she makes something, because all of her body language, of course, is this, you know, closed off. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I need to, like, talk to her first. And I say, I got to a stopping, or she got to a stopping point in the Spider-Man 2, like, playthrough, I guess. And I go, hey, why haven't I kissed you yet? And she's like, oh, really? And we have this back and forth banter, and I go in for it, and she pulls away. I'm about to cry. And then she's like, no, like, I'm not pulling away, I just want to think about it for a sec. And then she kisses me. And the kiss doesn't stop. It's not just a peck on the cheek, have a good night. It builds and builds and builds into something I couldn't fathom. And right then and there, that was it. I was cooked. I'm feeling all kinds of things. I'm texting her friend on Instagram, which is basically like our mutual matchmaker at this point, that kind of set both of us up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I kissed this girl. What am I gonna do? How did it go? How'd she feel about last night? This is how I feel about last night. Oh my god, it was great. Had a great night. And I'm excited. And then I go on my trip, and I'm texting both of them. I'm texting her. I'm texting her friend and her at the same time. Not like that, just in a matchmaker, like, hey, help me, what am I supposed to do next kind of thing. And we're going back and forth, and I'm building, you know, over text. She's mutually responding. She's not ghosting me for a day. She's talking to me about her day, all of her problems, all of the good, all of the bad, what's going on. And, you know, there's some tension there, if you know what I mean. And there's some back and forth. We have days where it's like on fire, and then some days where we're a little bit more mellow, talking about our day, talking about things we like, what we don't like, and, you know, what our favorite foods and favorite things to do are. And I feel like we're building this kind of, you know, relationship in a way, or a friendship, or whatever you want to call it, a title, something. And finally I get back and I say, I need to see this girl. I get back from Christmas, and I go, okay, I'm here today on Saturday. I know you said you're busy on Saturday and Sunday, and we're trying to meet up on Monday, but are you busy tonight? And she's like, well, I was, but, you know, I'm gonna be getting home soon at like 9, so I'll let you know. And then she goes to bed that night, and she's like, oh yeah, never mind. I had all of my stuff ready. And I'm like, okay, I might spend the night at her house. We might watch some movies together. I'm downloading movies. I'm getting everything ready in my backpack. I am 100% prepared. I'm freaking out. I'm pacing around my room, my trailer here. And, you know, I'm pausing Game of Thrones to text both of them. I'm texting this girl. I'm texting our matchmaker. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. This is it. You know, I'm gonna say something to this girl. I like her. You know, And I go, well, okay. She ends up just not responding that night. And I go, okay, she probably fell asleep. She had a long, tired day. But in my mind, in my feelings, I was, oh my God, I spent this whole week in a couple days without seeing this girl, and I miss her. I miss her badly. And I'm like, you know what? No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm watching Game of Thrones till 1 in the morning, and I finally, after saying to myself, there's no way I'll be able to sleep now. I can't sleep. I can't sleep when I'm this excited about her. Finally, I pass out watching Game of Thrones on the couch, and I couldn't fathom going into my bed that night. And I go, okay, fine. That's it. No, it's okay. You know, she was tired. It's not me. It's not me. You know, we've had such a good, week and a half texting. You know, I probably didn't do anything to screw up. It's probably just in my head. I'm overthinking this. You know, she was just tired. That's it. She said she was going to be busy today. We still have Monday. And then comes Sunday, and then she's texting me on Sunday going, oh, sorry, I fell asleep last night. Not a big deal. I'm busy today with my family. But she kept texting me. She said she worked on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, you know. But she's still up, and she's up at 12 p.m. And I'm like, you've got to work tonight. You're still up right now? We could spend the morning together. And that's how my mindset is. If I like someone, I'm going to spend time, and I'm going to spend as much time as possible with you. Because that's what I crave. I crave someone that chooses me as I choose them, because family is committed to loving you. You have to love your family, and they have to love you. That's as simple as that. You don't get to choose that. And your friends come with being coworkers and mutual hobbies and everything like that. And, friends just take time. So, it's just your friends, really. They're going to have some highs and lows. You're going to have people that come in and out of your life, whatever, But that was my thought process, is, whatever, she probably busy on Sunday. Maybe she's more busy than she was, letting on. Okay, fine. It felt like I could have spent the morning with her at least, but I understand. Whatever, she was busy, I guess. She still found the time to text me, so that's got to mean something. And then finally on Monday, we're going back and forth, texting, and I'm thinking, okay, well, she's busy tonight now, but we can still watch a movie together, and then can be like a platonic night together because she's babysitting her brother's kids, so it's okay. In that way we'll have some time together that isn't so, tense in a way. And that way we'll be able to build a little more stronger of a connection. And then she says, oh yeah, well, this kid, I don't have to babysit him the whole night, it's early, I'm going to drop him off at his mom's house now. And I'm like, oh, so it's back on. So it's not just, he's sick or whatever, I can't hang out with you now. You've got your hands full with him, and your laptop's broken, and it's all this stuff happening to you at once, and it's been a rough couple days with you. That's fine, I understand. Maybe not Monday then, maybe another day. And she finally says, no, we can still watch a movie tonight. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And I'm like, well, it's kind of late at this point, 9 p.m. Am I okay to stay overnight? And she's like, yeah, sure, if you want. And I'm like, okay, cool. So basically that night happened. And after that night, the next morning, I'm on no sleep. I'm going through my feelings. And I am overwhelmed with emotions that I haven't felt, I think, ever in my life. Call it oxytocin, call it hormones firing all on all ends. But I got to work, in 2 hours in, I missed her. I was frantic and anxious in talking about that night to myself and to my closest friends, and how well it went, and how happy I was, and how I was starting to develop feelings, and how close I am, and all of these things just exploding in my brain that I haven't felt for anyone in my past. And finally, I tear up a little bit. I tear up a little bit at work in front of my coworker friend, and I'm texting her. I'm texting our matchmaker, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I I'm worried about the future. I'm worried that I'm gonna lose her because I have something to lose now. Now, whether that's if I die tomorrow or she dies tomorrow or we end up splitting up or someone else comes along the way for either of us, or I have to move and we're not close anymore, so it's long distance and that will fade with time. But I am developing feelings. And at the end of the day, the last couple days, she wasn't texting me as frequently. And that's fine with any relationship. They're not going to be spamming each other 24/7. Okay, fine. But I'm realizing now that at the end of that day, after the end of that shift that I was working, I started crying. And I haven't cried in a very long time. And I don't know why I was crying. I knew that before I found out that I was rejected today by my promotional position, I was just worried about my future. I'm getting kicked out in a couple months. I've got to move soon. What does that entail? What does that mean for this relationship over here? Does this girl like me? Is this something that has a future? And, I have something to lose now. I have something to gain. And, I have something to lose and something to gain with my career as well. And then, I found out my grandma's in the hospital, and all of these emotions are firing at all sides. And then I've got my supportive coworker over here that is giving me the best advice I've ever heard in my life. And I've got the matchmaker talking to me on Insta and telling me it's going to be okay. Just next time you see her, express your feelings for her. Take it slow, stay calm, and bide your time. I'm really glad and I'm happy for you. And I'm tearing up at work when she said that. And I got to my car, and all of a sudden, all of those emotions that I was holding down that whole day just start flowing. And I start crying, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the uncertainty of the anxiety and everything like that. But I was just so out of it. And I didn't know, but now I understand. I'm very much an overthinker. I see the worst in people and I'm judgmental. I get it from my parents, but it also means that I kind of see the future. I have these premonitions. And I had a bad feeling. I had a bad feeling I was going to lose her. To some other guy or to my capacity as a human. Am I physically fit enough? Am I good enough with my emotions? Am I financially stable enough? Am I a good enough man to be with this girl? And all of that uncertainty just welled up within me. How's my grandma doing? Is she going to be okay? And I started crying all the way home. And I felt so bad, and I was so tired from the night before because I stayed up so late. And I'm thinking my hormones are firing. I've got all these thoughts in my head, and I'm sleep deprived. I probably just need some rest. So immediately I get home, I shed all of my clothes, and I pass out. I wake up at 9. I have a little bit of soup, and I'm watching an episode of Game of Thrones. It's 10. And I'm like, alright, gotta work tomorrow. I go to sleep now. I wake up today, and I realize that these feelings can't go without saying. I can't wait another day. It's New Year's. What am I supposed to do? I need a New Year's kiss, Something platonic, but also so beautiful. I'm waiting for that. I yearn for it. I have deep feelings for this girl. And I have some red flags, and I know she has some red flags too, but I didn't care. I don't care. I want to spend time with her. I don't want to lose her. I want to keep her. I want her to be mine, and myself to be hers. I want her to be my girlfriend. And then I get the bomb dropped on me. Just like every bomb in the past. I just want something casual. I just want to be friends. And all these feelings from my past come back up, and I think, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to love. I'm not good enough to care about. Why should anyone care about me? Why should anyone be connected to me? You know? Just like in the past, I've done some mistake, I've done something wrong. Why doesn't she love me? It doesn't matter. I'm not good enough. That's it. I don't have enough money. I'm not physically fit enough. I'm not in tune with my emotions enough. We don't have enough similar hobbies or similar personality. We have some chemistry, but I'm just not good enough to be loved. I can be a friend. I can be an acquaintance. I can be a friend with some fun benefits or whatever, but that's it. I'm not capable of being a boyfriend yet. I'm not allowed to. I'm not a good enough man yet. I'm worthless. And that's how I feel right now. Now, hopefully this changes. Maybe I'm getting the wrong impression. Maybe this changes in the future, or maybe it's just going to crash and burn in my face. That's my feeling so far. And I've got a lot of other things to talk about here, but this has been going long enough. I'm gonna just label this relationships. Yeah. Anyways, that's everything for today. Happy New Year's. And I want you to know that we may not be friends. You may not have a significant other that loves you. Hell, maybe even your family doesn't love you. Maybe your coworkers hate you. But I want you to know, no matter who you are, if you need someone to talk to, you drop a comment in the description, and I'll talk to you. It'll take a day or so, but I'll message you back. 'Cause you matter. And maybe you're not worthless. And maybe there's someone out there for you. But that's everything for today. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.